Hello my creative people. I'm super excited to be making this video today because look what we're going to work on today. Aren't these the cutest little plants ever? They're so easy to make too. This is going to be a great project if you're a beginner. I promise it's not too hard and I will walk you through every step. So with that being said, let's not waste any time. Let's get started right away. You're going to need 3 colors for your plant. I'm going to be using this purple for the vines, this brown for the soil, and this white for the planter pot. For our materials, we're going to use a size H or 5mm crochet hook, some scissors, a tapestry needle for just a little bit of sewing. I promise it's not too bad. It's kind of my favorite part. And then I don't have it here, but you'll also need some polyfill. So with that being said, let's hop right in. We start, I'm going to use like 2 inches for the tail, and I'm just going to do a little slip knot. Beautiful. I'm going to put it on my hook, tighten it, and let's do a chain of 35. Once you have your chain of 35, this is the front of our chains, right? I'm going to flip it so we're looking at the back. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in that 4th chain from hook, I'm going to work into the back bump, and I'm just going to do a simple slip stitch. Next, I will chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then in this next back bump, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slip stitch. Beautiful. And then once again, I'm going to chain 3. And in this same space, I'm going to work another slip stitch. So you can see there's 2. Here's the first one, and then there's the second one. And then I'm going to chain 3 one more time and repeat that. So it's honestly, this is what we're going to do for the next, say, 10 stitches or so, 10 back bumps. And that's pretty much the pattern. Here I am chaining 3 again. I'm going to work another slip stitch, and I'm just going to repeat that for the next 10 chains until I have about 1 inch or so. About 10 stitches or so later, really however long you want this part to be, I did about 1 inch, and I'm feeling happy with that, especially with how much left we have. So now that I'm content with our length so far, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to add a chain. So instead of doing our chain of 3, I'm going to chain 4, and then I'm just going to repeat the same thing. So all we do, y'all, is we just slowly increase the number of chains. So I did a chain of 3 for about 1 inch, and now I'm going to do a chain of 4 for about 1 inch, or really however long I feel like it'll look good for. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going until I feel like I'm content with the length so far, and then I'll go up to chain 5, maybe chain 6 if I want to. We'll see. It's really a versatile pattern. It's however you want it to look. That's all we gotta do. So remember, we're doing 2 slip stitches into each space. I'm going to do our chain 4, and we're just going to keep going. There's our chain of 4, slip stitch into this next one, chain 4, and repeat. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the state of the chain 4s, so I think it's time to level up to chains of 5. So to do that, I'm just going to simply chain 5 instead of the 4. And then I'll work a slip stitch into this next part. And it's pretty much the same pattern the whole way through, except once you get to the longer stitches, like chains of 5 or 6, instead of slip stitching, if you want to work a single crochet to give it kind of like some more depth. Ooh, I really can't get in here. I guess that's the struggle of working in the back bump sometimes. It's a little bit hard to navigate to get your hook in there. It takes a little bit of wiggling. But I'm just repeating this. So I did my first chain of 5 with a slip stitch. Let me work one more and then I will show you how I do single crochets with it. So here's our slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Another slip stitch in that same space. I'm going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in this next one, I'm going to do the single crochet. So trying to get into that back bump. Instead of doing just a slip stitch, I'm going to yarn over and make it a single crochet. And then I'm going to do my chain of 5. And it looks like our piece is kind of wanting to reverse on us. So to fix that, I'm just going to gently reshape it and spin it in the right direction. And there we go. And you can already see like the size difference. Like this guy is really hanging off. So you can see how much a difference the single crochet, or not the single crochet, the chain of 5 will make going forward. And with the single crochet, it'll look really nice. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Since I only have a little bit of chains left, like remaining chain spaces, I'm just going to do the chain of 5s to the very end. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So once I reach the very last stitch, I'll show you how I finish it off. I'm at the very end now and my piece is looking a little wonky. So once again, I'm just going to gently redirect it so it's all going the same direction. It just takes a little bit of twisting and turning. And there we go. So I can see my very last chain right here. I'm just going to do the same thing, work in my 5 chains. And then I'm going to, I think I'll just end this one with a slip stitch, just make it easy. Or no, I'll just do a single crochet. And then once I have this remaining loop on my hook, I'm just going to grab our tail and our connected yarn, and I'm just going to slip stitch, bring them both through, and pull it really tight. And then we can cut our yarn. And we have our very first strand. Look at, isn't that so cute? And it's so easy, y'all. You can whip these out in no time. So you can gently like reshape them too. Maybe add some fluff. I just love how they stack up on each other. And it just looks so cute. So there's our first one. I usually do about 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I do all different lengths. I can't talk. And so this one was a chain of 35. So maybe adjust the chains you do by like 5 or 6. So this one's 35. Maybe you do a 30, a 25, a 40. Yeah, it's really up to you. However long you want your piece to be, you can adjust the chains for that length. Okay, getting started on the soil. How I like to begin it, I start with a magic ring. To do that, I wrap it around my fingers to make an X. I hold that in place with my thumb, flip my fingers over, ignore the first one going under it. I grab the second, pull it through, and then I twist my hook up, and it creates a little cross right there. Then I work a chain. I do 1, 2. Sorry, that's my dog. I don't know if you can hear her in the background. She loves to snore. So we have our 2 chains. I'm going to chain 1 more for a chain of 3, and this is going to count as our first stitch. Next, I will work 13 double crochet into the ring. Once you've done those 13 double crochets, our chain 3 is going to count as a stitch, so this will total 14. After that's done, I simply pull that tail to tighten it. I don't tighten it all the way because we're going to put our vines in through the center. And then I slip stitch to the top of this chain of 3. So on that 3rd chain, I kind of have to maneuver my hook in there because it's kind of a snug fit. And then we just do our slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1, 2, and 3 again, and I'm going to work a double crochet in the same space as that slip stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to increase all the way around, so we should have a total of 28. An increase is just 2 double crochets in the same space. So this will be a double crochet increase. It's just 2 in one space. Let's do it again in this next one. There we go. So you should have 28 by the time you're done. Once you have those 28 stitches, and just like in the previous round, we are going to slip stitch to join at the top of the chain of 3. So on that 3rd chain, we slip stitch. I like to chain 1 just one more time to really secure it. And then I leave a long tail, I'm gonna say maybe 10 to 12 inches. And then we can cut. There we go, and then I pull it through. And that's our dirt. Now all we have to do, I like to pull in the vines. I just use my hook. I grab both strands and pull it through. And we're going to do that with all of our vines. So just one at a time, I pull them through. Grab it up with my hook. There we go. And just like that. Once you have them all attached, you're going to have a little tail that looks like this, and that's fine. Sometimes they come out, so I like to tug on it a little bit. You can see the strands wanting to come out a little bit. I just pull them tight, make sure everything is looking good, and we can't see those last stitches. And once it's to your liking and everything's arranged evenly, all we do, I like to tighten our magic ring a little bit, and then remember not to get this tail in there. I put it to the side. I kind of flip over, and then I split them in half, and I just do 2 simple knots to really make sure it's secured and nothing's gonna come loose on us. There we go. I just tie it as tight as I can. Sometimes I do a triple knot if it's like really heavy, which these vines are kind of heavy. And there we go. And you could, this part is hidden, so you could cut it if you want to. You don't have to, but I'm going to cut it just to make it look nice. And there we go. So here's our little lavender wisteria top. It looks like a little star with the 5. So that's our dirt and our vines. Now all we have to do is start on our pot. So let's get started with that. Just like before with our dirt, we're pretty much going to do the same thing for the first 2 rounds. So we're going to start with the magic ring, ignore the first one, grab the second, flip it over, do our 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3, drop our fingers out, and then we're going to work 13 double crochet. With the chain 3 counting as a stitch, it'll be 14 in total. So I'll see you when I have 14. I've got my 14 stitches. Now I'm just going to pull tight, and I pull all the way this time, unlike before with the dirt, because we want this to be fully sealed. And then I'm going to slip stitch to our starting chain, This one's tricky because I chained mine really tight. There we go. Slip stitch. Perfect. And then we're going to chain 1, 2, and 3 just like before, kind of repeating the same pattern. Here's our first 2, our double crochets in the same spot as our chain, and we're going to increase all the way around for a total of 28. Once you have that 28, just like before, we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. There we go. And then I'm going to chain 1, and then we are going to work a back post double crochet right here. So in this back loop, oh, I said back post, didn't I mean back loop, because we want the basket shape to start to show. So working in the back loop is how we're going to get that shape. You can see it wants to stand up like this. We're just going to do that all the way around, 28 stitches in total. So here's our second one. Here's our third in the back loop only. Here's number 4, and so on. I've got my 28 double crochet. Now I'm just going to slip stitch to our starting point. Come on, little guy. There we go. I'm going to chain 1 again, and in the same space, we're just going to work regular double crochets. So not back loop, just full on double crochet. And we are going to do that 28 times. So there's our first one. Here's number 2, 3, and so on. I like to do this for about, I want to say we could go 4 or 5 rounds. I'll maybe do 5 just to have a better shape, because these vines are a little bit longer. So to make it look more balanced, I'll do 5 rounds, and I'll meet you when that's done. About 4 rows later, I'm really liking the size of this one, so I think I'm going to stop here instead of adding another row. I've got my 28s. I'm going to slip stitch to join like usual. And now I'm just going to do a slip stitch all around the top here. So I'm just going to slip stitch all the way around until I get to the starting point again. Once we've done our slip stitches along the top, I'm going to do the final one just to join them together. There we go. And now I will do a chain of 50. You can honestly make this chain as long or as short as you'd like. This is just going to be the height of our little handles, I guess, or our hanging portion, if that makes sense. So this is a really short chain. If you wanted it to be this short, that's all you could do. You know, it's really however long you want this hanger to be. I can't think of words. But I'm just going to do 50, maybe less for this example. Once you've got the length you like, we're just going to tighten it, and leaving maybe 4 to 5 inches, I'm going to cut, pull it through, and then we will attach this directly to the other side, making sure that it's straight. These kind of tend to twist on you, so I just like to kind of run my fingers along like so, make sure all the V's are facing us, and then I kind of squeeze it in half to find the other side. Looks like it's directly right here. So I will insert my hook into these top 2. I'm going to grab my tail Actually, you know, I'm going to insert through the other side so that way it just looks a little bit cleaner. I'm going to pull that tail through. Whoops. Make sure it's snug. I'm going to check one more time to make sure our chain is straight and nothing's turned around. And it looks like it did turn around, so I'm just going to gently redirect it. There. Now it looks straight. And then I'm going to grab this tail that we have at the very bottom. That's from our magic ring. I'm just going to tie them together really tight so that way our little basket part doesn't move on us. There we go. And I'm going to tuck it in. Now I'm going to grab some polyfill and fill it up. And then we will attach our little plant on top. Oh, and once you have your polyfill out of the bag, I like to just fluff it up a little bit because they really stuff it in there, so it's very compact. And if you just give it a good fluffing, keep your pot down on a flat surface, and I kind of just rip it, the polyfill apart, and I slowly stuff it. So I just kind of use 2 fingers and I keep it on a flat surface so that way the base stays flat. Some people add a piece of cardboard to the bottom, but I don't really do that because, well, I don't know why. I just don't. And you just keep stuffing until you feel like it's at a good spot. I feel like this is good, so I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Next, I'm going to grab our flower, our little wisteria, and I find our tail. I just kind of place it on top, and I'm going to grab our tapestry needle. I'm going to grab the end of this. Make sure to thread your needle, grab it, and we are going to sew this on. So I start with the next stitch to the left of our join, and I simply just add it. So I'm going to do that one more time. I work through both loops of both the dirt and the top loops of our plant, which is why we did the slip stitches, so that way we can easily find the tops and add to it. So this is all we do. We're just working through both loops of both the dirt and the planter pot, and we just sew all the way around.